Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to the Division 2. The Hollywood Global event is running right now, as I'm sure some of you are probably aware. I'm running it into the game right now. It is one of my new favorite events after the changes they made to all global events back in Year 5 Season 3 and Project Resolve. And it's mainly my newfound enjoyment of this event that has led me to, bring to topic this discussion that I want to have about if the Division 2 is actually about to lose global events like Hollywood and the other 5 that we've grown to know over the years, which might not make a lot of sense now, but hopefully it will in a few minutes when we really get into this. Very quickly before we begin, I wanted to show off this build that I'm using because I'm sure I'm going to get questions on it. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I ran it at the end of the last time Hollywood was on, and I'm going to run it for the full week this time. It's a ton of fun. Basically, it is an infinite flamethrower ammo build. If you use the tip of the spear gear set after the changes they made to it, you get a lot of signature ammo back on kills, and so by using Firewall, you then get 4 pieces of tip of the spear, 1 Golan for the extra stat effects, running the Memento. It's just a lot of fun. Running the Jammer as well to apply that for their shields when you need it. But yeah, this build is super fun. Also, a very quick disclaimer, this is probably TMI, I sliced my thumb up pretty bad yesterday, so if you see me do any weird movement things while I'm playing here, that's 100% why, because it's that same hand. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand, shall we? Global events in the Division 2. Are we about to lose them? Now, why do I say that? Well, it mainly has to do with Seasons 2.0, which, as I'm sure many of you are aware, is the next big thing coming to the Division 2. It is the major feature and content addition that is coming to the game with Year 6 Season 2 that is set to drop right now in October in about 9 weeks' time. And this is obviously the update that has already gone through a lot of controversy well before its release because of the whole thing with seasonal characters. Very brief recap if you weren't around for that. Originally, Seasons 2.0 was going to include seasonal characters. The community had a huge uproar about that when we first learned of it back at Ubisoft Forward. And the devs later on made an announcement that, at the very least, they're reconsidering their overall implementation into Seasons 2.0. I'm of the firm belief that they're full on removing them. Some people are not, but either way, the plans are going to change there, and they're not going to be as central as they were before. So what does that have to do with global events, you might be asking? Well, again, because of Hollywood being on right now, and because of how fun a lot of the global events are now after the changes they made, it got me to thinking about a certain key detail that we learned about global events in relation to Seasons 2.0 in the FAQ that got released, a few weeks back. All right, now I have the quote pulled up here. Let's see if I can read it totally naturally and no one will notice. So it said in the FAQ, will seasonal characters have access to global events? And the answer was that global events, as they are right now, will remain exclusive to non-seasonal characters due to their incompatibility with the seasonal progression and modifiers in their current state. They will adhere to the established rotation model already present in-game. Seasonal characters may eventually receive their own version of global events tailored to enhance the seasonal experience, but this implementation will occur at a later time. So, that's very interesting. We've got a whole convoy coming in back here. So the reason I say that global events might be going away is that if the new changes to Seasons 2.0 mean that they are moving away from the idea of seasonal characters, and let's then say that Seasons 2.0 takes place entirely, and all of that stuff takes place entirely on your main characters, well, if global events were incompatible with the new modifiers that they're going to be releasing, then how can we play global events if those modifiers are on? You get what I'm saying? And also, for a brief recap, if anybody is like, what are these modifiers that they're talking about? The basic gist of Seasons 2.0 is that every season is going to have a new modifier that changes the way that you interact with the game, do the gameplay, all of that. The seasonal gear is like supposedly going to kind of tailor off of that. There's just going to be a more coherent overall theme to every season that kind of defines, like I said, how you play it. And so yeah, it makes sense that whatever character you're then taking that modifier on with wouldn't really work with the global events, because the global events tailor the gameplay in their own way, and that probably, like they said, doesn't gel with these new modifiers that they had in mind. So what does that mean for these 6 global events that we've come to know over the years? That's the question. I think there are a couple of possibilities here that we'll go through. And certainly I'm sure some of you already have your own thoughts on this that we've already talked about, so I will love to read through all of your thoughts and reactions to this below. But here's my thinking. One option is that clearly they've already done some extensive rethinking and reworking of Seasons 2.0, given the response to seasonal characters, and they put out that whole announcement saying, yeah, we're going to rethink things. Maybe they have found a way to do it to where the existing global events that we have now mesh with the modifiers that are coming, if we were to experience those on our main characters. I don't think this is all that likely because it is my half assumption, half understanding that not a lot of the content side of Seasons 2.0 is really going to change. I really think that the one main change they're doing is transitioning all of the stuff that's planned for Seasons 2.0 to now be happening on our main characters as opposed to the seasonal ones. I think that is like the main and only change that they're doing. So, if that's the case, then the same thing would have been true as they said in that original FAQ, which was that the existing global events that we have don't gel with these new modifiers. Alright, so that's potentially out the window. The other option or idea is that maybe they could do something to where players have the option in their settings, in their menu, whatever, to temporarily deactivate the seasonal modifier if they want to partake in the global event rotation that happens every season. That's certainly an option, but again, I kind of question whether or not the devs would really want to do that, since the whole idea of Seasons 2.0 is that it's this curated, tailored experience and everybody is facing the same gameplay challenge and difficulty throughout the entire season, right? But at the same time, I would also guess that the devs don't want to just needlessly lose out on that extra content and variety that the game has to offer. So it wouldn't shock me if they're willing to make that compromise to where, like, yeah, if players want to temporarily tag out of doing the seasonal modifier, they can then go in and play these legacy global events. So that's a slightly more likely option in my mind. But then the last idea that I had that I wonder if it might be not necessarily more feasible, but more likely in the way that it keeps the spirit of Seasons 2.0. It doesn't mess with that whole flow, but it still allows players to access these global events that we've come to know and love. If the Seasons 2.0 calendar, because remember the whole deal with it was that it would be 15 weeks of the season, of the modifier, and all that. And then at the end of those 15 weeks, that's when the finale and the new master difficulty mission unlock. And then the idea was that we would be able to go back and play our main characters on that master difficulty, and all of the games like Progression and Focus would transition back to main characters for that 2-week intermission, and then the next season would begin. If they're intending to keep that kind of a rotation, even if the focus is now main characters fully, where it's like 15 weeks of the season with the modifier and everything, and then you go back to kind of quote-unquote regular gameplay for those 2 weeks before the next season begins, what if during those 2 weeks they added the ability for players to go in and toggle on whichever of the 6 global events they want, if they choose to? I feel like that would be a pretty good solution to this, because then, like I said, you keep the overall flow of Seasons 2.0 that they're intending, that they want to have happen, but then at the same time, during that 2-week downtime, if players want that extra gameplay variety and challenge, they can turn on the global events and have fun with it. However they choose to tackle it, and whatever might be going on over there right now with all the planning, I'm sure they've had to do a lot of rethinking in light of, you know, seasonal characters being rethought at the very least, although likely removed. I just hope that it doesn't indirectly mean that we lose out on global events. I know they're not everybody's absolute favorite. I personally have enjoyed them a lot more ever since, like I was saying earlier, the changes made with Project Resolve. Like Hollywood that I'm playing right now used to be like one of my least favorites in the game. I think I tried it probably twice way back in the day just to make sure that I was giving it a fair shake, that I wasn't just misunderstanding the right way to play it. I was not a fan, and I literally didn't play it for years. Now I await the day when it turns on in the seasonal calendar, because I can run builds like this, infinite flamethrower ammo, where I just make people explode. Like, it's so fun, right? And the same is true for the rest of the events. I've said before, the only one that I'm still not a huge fan of is Polarity Switch, but that's fine. 5 out of the 6 events I'm fully into, that's a very good ratio. And like I said, it just makes the seasonal calendar way more fun when you have these events coming up that you're looking forward to. Now, we do know that Seasons 2.0 is going to be doing its own seasonal stuff, and it's going to have its own variety and replayability, so, you know, maybe at the end of the day, we'll see what Seasons 2.0 has to offer, and we won't miss these being gone that much if they are indeed going to be leaving. But I don't know, I just figured that was kind of an important and interesting topic to discuss, something that I don't think a lot of people had considered yet, once we heard about the removal of seasonal characters, or again, at least the rethinking of them. So as stated, I would be super curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this entire discussion and overall topic. Hopefully we do get, you know, the greater detail and communication on Seasons 2.0 pretty soon here. I think a lot of the devs are mostly back now, or at least they're about to be returning from the summer vacations that Sweden has around this time of year. My personal prediction and guess is that the live stream that they talked about for Seasons 2.0 as well as the PTS is going to kick off around late August, early September. That's kind of my guess as to when this will all start getting in motion. So not long to wait at all now, and whether it's the global event stuff or whatever else we're going to learn about what has changed in the plans and all of that, I'm very anxious for it. I do think Seasons 2.0 is going to be a very genuine and fun refresh to the day-to-day experience of the game, the way that we experience and play Seasons in the Division 2. So yeah, looking forward to everything that we see there. That is going to wrap it up for this one, though, everybody. I appreciate you all watching very much. Again, would love to hear your thoughts on all of this down below, but I will see you all in the next one. Until then, RogueGold, out.